Now, the United States attack on Venezuela and the arrest of Maduro has triggered a series of incidents that have cleared that US President Donald Trump has developed a new hobby of issuing warnings. While President Trump's interests of issuing warnings begins long back, the intensity has for sure increased since his press meet on Maduro's arrest on January 3rd. Trump first issued a stark warning to Venezuela's interim leadership following the capture of Nicolas Maduro and his wife by American forces. Trump stated that Venezuela's new interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, could face consequences bigger than Maduro if she does not cooperate with the United States and do what's right. He also made it clear that a second military strike on Venezuela is still on the table if necessary, saying that the US was prepared for a much larger follow-up attack, though he hoped it would not be needed. President Donald Trump's next target was Colombia. Trump warned President Gustavo Petro, signaling a sharp escalation in tensions between Washington and Bogota. Trump accused Petro's government of enabling cocaine production and trafficking into the United States, describing Colombia as quote-unquote very sick and suggesting that Petro must take the necessary steps to stop drug trafficking or face consequences. When pressed about the possibility of further military action against Colombia, Trump responded that such an operation, quote-unquote, sounds good to me, heightening fears of regional conflict following the dramatic events in Venezuela. For Cuba, Trump said that Cuba appears to be a failing nation and suggested it is ready to fall now that Venezuela can no longer support it economically and politically. He indicated that Havana's government may collapse under its own internal pressures without requiring direct US military intervention, framing the situation as part of broader regional shifts following the Venezuela action. Trump also tied Cuba's fate to the loss of Venezuelan oil subsidies, warning that the island's fragile economy and long-standing alliance with Caracas make it highly vulnerable. While he did not explicitly threaten a new military strike on Cuba, his comments signaled heightened scrutiny of Havana and reinforced US pressure on allied regimes in the region after the dramatic events in Venezuela. For Iran, Trump has issued a strong warning amid widespread protests, saying that if Iranian authorities violently suppressed peaceful demonstrators and killed them, the United States would intervene and was locked and loaded to act. His threat came as protests over economic hardship and political grievances spread across multiple Iranian cities. Iran's government hit back sharply at Trump's remarks, calling them reckless and inflammatory, and warning that any foreign interference in its internal affairs would be a red line that could trigger serious consequences. As for Denmark, the narrative started right after Trump became the president for the second term. US President Donald Trump renewed his long-standing interest in Greenland, suggesting in a recent interview that the United States absolutely needs the strategically located Arctic island for defense purposes, especially in light of the military operation in Venezuela. Trump said the US needs Greenland for national security and hinted that existing arrangements may not be enough. His comments sparked immediate backlash from Denmark's leadership. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen firmly rejected the notion that the United States has any right to annex Greenland, calling such threats senseless and urging Washington to stop making them against a historically close ally. She stressed that Denmark and its territories are sovereign, covered by NATO defense guarantees, and not for sale. And while this should be enough for now, most of it seems as if the week has just begun for President Trump. What the world waits for is the result of the blunt statements made by the US President. Ambassador Yogesh Gupta, who is a former diplomat, joins me for more on this. Sir, good afternoon. First of all, we're now seeing that after kidnapping a sitting president, Donald Trump is upping the ante and has warned acting Venezuelan President Delcy Rodriguez of consequences. Do you now think that the US is sidestepping all international rules and junking the rules-based order which it has long advocated for?
Yes, absolutely, because there is absolutely no justification for the US military intervention in Venezuela. Even the American analysts and politicians they have said that, Venezuela is not much of a source for sending drugs or to America, and drugs to America are coming from other countries. And Trump's intervention in Venezuela is totally aimed at getting oil, and it's very unfair. It's illegal. It's not backed by any international law. It is not supported in terms of by the U.S. Congress and so on. So it is just the whim of one person, the President of the United States, and unfortunately, he can't be stopped by others in his government. He can't be stopped by the U.S. Congress, and uh, and he's just doing what he wants. And while other countries like China have reacted strongly, but China is far away, and China typically doesn't intervene militarily in other countries in their defense.
Sir, additionally, now as a part of his New Year's resolution, Donald Trump had said that his wish for 2026 was peace on earth, but he has already now bombed 7 countries in under a year of his presidency. Do you think the US could now be emboldened to carry out strikes on other unfriendly nations like Cuba in particular?
Well, it is quite possible. Trump has said so, and but let me say that while these strikes are possible, once you do these strikes and once you enter in these countries, as the experience of Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan has shown, it's very difficult to control the internal polity of these countries, and we may see that the United States may end up spending more resources to control anti-American protests and demonstrations in these countries than getting much of oil from there, because the oil infrastructure is in a very bad shape. And to repair that infrastructure and get oil from that country, particularly if its government is not cooperating, won't be easy. So this may just as well be the terminal decline of the United States as a superpower, and we may see that the America, after all these interventions, may end up as a may lose lot of resources and may end up as a normal country, not in terms of a superpower.
Sir, lastly, would you concur with the assessment now that might is right is the new creed, since the United States will obviously potentially get away with this without any repercussions? Two things can also be true at the same time. Yes, Maduro was deeply unpopular, and Venezuela under his leadership had experienced a democratic backsliding, mass corruption. He had installed his cronies, captured institutions, but also the fact that United States actions do set a dangerous precedent, and now the United States actions further prove that US is the only dominant power in the Western Hemisphere, and that Latin America would solely be its backyard.
Will solely be his backyard because he's threatening to annex Greenland, and who knows what his intentions next are, because he is, he's having a view of the world in which the United States is able to prevail, and it's able to do what it wants, because he thinks that there is no one stopping the United States. So far, he has mentioned that his interest is mainly in the Western Hemisphere, but you never know. I mean, these things, they tend to sort of, one thing sparks the other.